Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm taking a look at the Tribit StormBox Micro 2, and this is the successor to one of my favorite micro speakers from a few years back, the StormBox Micro. Let's check them out. So I already took everything out of the box here. Just comes with standard user manual and a Type-C to Type-C charging cable. But let's put all this off to the side here, and I'll give you guys a nice close-up of the new Tribit StormBox Micro 2. And while you guys are checking this out, let's talk about some of the features. Alright, so the StormBox Micro 2 features a brand new 48mm neodymium driver with 2 passive radiators. And that's part of the reason why this small little speaker has some pretty significant bass for its size. So now it can deliver 10 watts of power over the previous model's 9 watts of power. It now has an internal 3.6 volt, 4700 milliamp hour lithium ion battery that gives you right around 12 hours of playtime. That's about a 1 to 1.5 decibel upgrade. It now has Bluetooth 5.3, which is an upgrade over the original StormBox Micro's 5.0. It has the exact same IP rating as the original StormBox Micro at IP67. That means it's completely dustproof and is submersible in up to 3 feet of water for up to 30 minutes. But just like the original StormBox Micro, it doesn't float. And it also features TWS pairing, party mode, USB Type-C charging, and a built-in power bank. Alright, so that's enough of the quick features, but I'll talk more later on in this video about some of the upgrades over the original StormBox Micro here, but I thought I'd do something a little bit different here. Let's just jump right into the sound test first. So let's test to see what the new StormBox Micro 2 sounds like at 25%, 50, 75, and 100%, right around 3 feet away from my microphone here. right, guys, there you have it. You just heard what both of these speakers sound like side by side, the original StormBox Micro and the brand new StormBox Micro 2. And to be honest with you guys, I can't really hear much of a difference other than the StormBox Micro 2 is much louder than the original StormBox Micro. I think they both sound extremely clear. The bass is a little bit better in the brand new StormBox Micro 2 at 50 to 75%. At 100%, they both get a little distorted. I don't recommend these speakers at 100%. They just get too distorted. Sounds a little bit muddy. That's why on the sound test, I did the sweet spot right at 75%. That's where I think both of these speakers sound fantastic. With Tribit's patented XBASS, I think the lows sound pretty darn good in a speaker this small. And that's why the original StormBox Micro here was my favorite micro speaker for a long time. But let's go over some of the upgrades in the new StormBox Micro 2 and see if it's worth a purchase over the original StormBox Micro. So one of the upgrades is now it features Bluetooth 5.3 as opposed to Bluetooth 5.0. Is that anything to write home about? In my opinion, not really. You get about 20 feet more of range, 120 feet with 5.3 versus 100 feet with 5.0. And with my latency test, I saw no real difference between the two Bluetooth versions. So Bluetooth 5.0 versus 5.3, I honestly don't really care. I think they're both great, but if you want the latest in technology, of course, you have to pick this up for Bluetooth 5.3. Another upgrade that I really like is now it features a power bank. That's right, the USB Type-C port, which is right here on the side, is how you charge it with the included Type-C to Type-C charging cable, or you can use this to actually charge your devices. And I'm gonna test that out for you guys. I'm gonna show you that it's working. I did this earlier, and I can tell you that it definitely works, unlike a certain flashlight that I just did a review on that's supposed to be a Type-C out and a power bank, and I tested it on my phone and did not work, but you can see right here, right there, this definitely works. But some of you guys might not want to use this as a power bank because then it just takes away from your music listening time, but that's where the new upgraded battery comes into play. Now it has a 3.6 volt 4700 milliamp hour lithium ion battery versus a 3.7 volt 2600 milliamp hour battery. Now that's a difference of 16.9 watt hours versus 9.6 watt hours on the original StormBox Micro. So that equates to 12 hours of playtime here on the StormBox Micro 2 versus 8 hours on the original. So with those 4 extra hours of playtime, if your phone ever dies, you can probably afford to give your phone some juice right out of this battery. Another upgrade is now it has a 48mm neodymium driver. So what does that mean? Well, neodymium makes it just slightly lighter. Even though this speaker is slightly heavier than the original model, if it didn't have neodymium magnets in here, it would be just a little bit heavier than what it is now. But now because it has a 48mm driver, we can get 10 watts of power out of this bad boy as opposed to just 9 watts. So what stays the same here? They both have stereo pairing. They both have party mode. They're both charged with a USB Type-C port right there on the side, and they both have a phone function. Meaning if you're listening to music, you can take phone calls right through the speaker, and you can see the microphone right there on the Micro 2 versus the microphone on the original Micro right there. Neither one of these feature an auxiliary port, which to me isn't a big deal, and they're both IP67 dust and waterproof rated, so no differences there either. And you can see Tribit left the design of this relatively unchanged. Still has the same fabric wrapped mesh on the very top with that soft touch rubber on the bottom. And just like the original here, it feels very solid, very high quality when you're holding it. So even though I don't know the impact resistance numbers on this, it feels like I can drop it and it can definitely take it. They did change the button slightly on the front, not functionality, but just the look. So you can see now on the StormBox Micro 2, they're much easier to read. And they're much bigger too, and in my opinion, they just feel a little bit better when you're pushing them. And I'll demonstrate that to you here. Check this out. And then, hear that? It's a lot clickier. The logo is basically unchanged, but they just made it a little bit easier to read on the brand new version. Now let's just flip this around. The silicone strap is unchanged, and I think that's a good thing. I like this silicone strap on these StormBox Micros. It's virtually unbreakable, and I've never had one come undone while I was using it. And then I'll give you a look at the bottom here. You can see the differences between the two. Just slight aesthetic differences. The feet are pushed out a little bit farther on the brand new one here versus the old model. So the power button is on the left side right here and the Bluetooth button's on the right. Then there's a status light indicator and a battery life indicator that's represented by 5 LED lights. There we go. And then side by side with the original StormBox Micro, you can see just slight aesthetic changes with the buttons. Now they're a hexagon as opposed to a circle. And then getting back to the buttons here, the buttons do exactly the same thing as they did on the original. We have the multifunction button right dead center, and then a plus and minus buttons right there on the side. Short press the multifunction button to play and pause, double press to skip track forward, and then triple press to skip backwards. And then press and hold if you want to activate Siri on your iPhone. And if you get a phone call while listening to music, you just short press that multifunction button there to answer the phone call. And it has call waiting where you can press the button again, put that call on hold, take the other phone call. That's awesome. Now, I really don't have any speakers with the phone call function that I actually really like. I always feel like it doesn't sound as good through the speaker, and I've always heard that my voice through the speaker with this little microphone always sounds a little bit tinny. And now let's get to the size differences here. Side by side, you probably can't tell that there is a size difference, but the new StormBox Micro 2 is slightly bigger than the original model here. The original StormBox Micro is 3.87 inches by 3.87 inches by 1.41 inches. And the new StormBox Micro 2 is 3.93 inches by 3.93 inches by 1.69 inches. So the new StormBox Micro 2 is slightly heavier, slightly bigger, but that has a lot to do with the bigger driver and the upgraded battery size. And now I just want to go over this. So the party mode and stereo mode in the user manual right here. On the very bottom, it says that, what does it say? The function of party mode can be realized only when you have 2 Tribit StormBox Micro 2 speakers, and it says that for party mode here and for stereo mode. So I don't have 2 StormBox Micro 2s here, but I did get these two, the original StormBox Micro and the 2, to pair together. So this is what I do to connect these with party mode, as I just turn on the first speaker, the 2, and the second. Okay, there you go. And then press and hold the Bluetooth button for 5 seconds.
Party mode.
Wow, it just... Okay, that just worked. Before, all I did was follow the instructions in the instruction manual here. I had to press and hold Bluetooth for 5 seconds, makes a noise, and then the other Bluetooth button for 1 second, and then it says party mode. That just connected automatically for me. That's weird. And now that it's in party mode, I can just click the Bluetooth button on either one of these speakers here.
Stereo mode. Left channel.
There we go. Now it's in stereo. And if I click either one of the Bluetooth buttons again, it goes right back to party.
Party mode.
There we go. And I'll tell you guys, if you have 2 of these StormBox Micros, whether it's the original or new, pairing them in stereo mode is where it's at. It sounds amazing. And guys, I apologize, I almost forgot. The new Tribit StormBox Micro 2 supports a brand new app here. So you just tap my StormBox Micro 2 and connect. And right here, we have a few different options. You can just tap this right there where it says music, and you have your choice between a music, what is this one? Audiobook, or customize your EQ. These are the presets, so if I just tap music, you can see this isn't just a 3-channel equalizer with just low, medium, and high. I should say low, mid, and high. You can see there's a lot of channels here for you to customize. It's now an 8-channel EQ, and this does make a big difference if you go in here and start messing with these levers. And going back to the previous screen, if you hit customize, tap that, you can customize your own settings and then save it right there on the top. I think this is pretty awesome. A couple things I didn't like about this is sometimes it's hard. It doesn't really register. There we go. Moving these levers. So I'm not sure why sometimes it doesn't register. And then signing up for it was kind of a pain. You'll see once you download the app, you have to give them your email address. They send you a code, a special code to your email address, and a countdown starts at 60 seconds. So I felt like I was against the clock trying to race to get that special code in my email address just to come back and enter it. Not really sure why they did all that. Plus they wanted to know what state I lived in. Too much information, but I do like the app. There's just a few things they need to fix about it. All right, guys, so let's wrap this up. Is the new StormBox Micro 2 worth the upgrade if you already have the StormBox Micro? And that is a tough one. Right now on Tribit's website, you can still pick this up for about $49.99, let's just say 50 bucks. And the new speaker right here is $59.99, let's just say 60. So $10 more if you want to upgrade. And for those of you guys out there who like to have the latest technology, the newest speaker, of course, you're going to pick this up anyways. But if you don't care about any of those upgrades and still want a decent sounding speaker, almost exactly the same, other than it's not as loud as the new StormBox Micro 2 here, and you want to save 10 bucks, or if you already have this version, just stick with the original model. With that being said, in a world where the JBL Go exists at $35 to $50, would you go with the JBL Go 3, which is currently my favorite small micro speaker, or would you go with one of these Tribit StormBox Micros? But as it stands right now, guys, at 60 bucks, I still think this is a very good deal, especially with all the upgrades. I think it sounds fantastic. I think their XBASS technology sounds great, especially for a speaker this size. All right, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. What do you think of the brand new Tribit StormBox Micro 2? Now, if you want to check this out for yourself, I will have links down below in my description box. But if you did enjoy this video, please give me that thumbs up. Please subscribe. And go!